Well, unfortunately, all of us know what it's like to live with pressure, and it just kind of puts weight on us, and it just kind of pulls us down, and maybe even brings fear into our lives, possibly causes us to just miss out on the good things that are happening around us. And if you step back and look and say, what's causing the pressure? There's a lot of different things that cause pressure in our lives, but probably one of the things that causes the most pressure in our lives is money. And maybe it's the lack of money, but it's the issue of money. And there's one thing that all of us have in common. It doesn't matter how much you have, there's always this need for a little bit more. And the financial pressure and the pressure that money causes just weighs us down. I like what one person actually said about financial stress. They said this: financial stress is a shadow that never seems to leave us. It's just there all the time, and you feel it, and it pulls you down, and it weighs on you, and it tears at you. And what I find interesting when it comes to money is what we all tend to do is we base our financial decisions so often on what everybody else around us is doing. And we kind of have this idea that as long as we're all making the same decisions, as long as we're all in the same boat financially, then everything's going to be okay. Everybody else is this way. Everybody else is doing it. And so we're all going to be okay. We're all in the same boat. We'll be fine. But can I just describe the boat that most people are in? Most likely you're in this particular boat. Let me describe the ship that all of us tend to be traveling in. One, you find yourself where your debt is growing monthly. You're not paying anything down. It's growing. The number is getting higher and higher, not less and less. You're only making the minimum payments, which is why the debt keeps growing in addition to what you keep buying. And you miss one paycheck, all of a sudden you're in trouble. You go, if I had to miss 1 week of work, one pay period, we're in deep trouble here. We're not going to be able to make it. Or you find yourself saying, you know what? All we're doing is just fighting about this on a regular basis. And the tension between you and your husband, the tension between you and your wife, your kids, it's there, it's palpable. And you just say, it's just there all the time. And it never seems to go away. You're not able to save on a regular basis. You'd like to. You think it's a great idea, just not able to do it. You're constantly stressed out about money. And if you're honest, you'd say the life that you feel like you were created to live, you can't live it because you don't have the money to actually do it. And so you find yourself under incredible stress and puts pressure on our lives. And our tendency is just to step back and say, you know what, that's just the way it is. We're all in the same boat together. It must be the way we're meant to live. And can I tell you, God says we don't have to live this way. God actually says there's a better way when it comes to your finances. We can do things differently. It doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to live with this kind of pressure in your life. As a matter of fact, you're not even designed to live with this kind of pressure in your life. And so God doesn't ignore what's going on with our money. He actually addresses it head on. And as a matter of fact, the Bible may be the best single guidebook when it comes to money management of any book out there. Over 2,000 passages in the Bible talk about how we use our money. And Jesus, when he talked, 2/3 of the stories that he told dealt with money. And so God addresses it, and he addresses it head on. And here's what you need to know what God says about money. He says you don't have to live with pressure. His plan for you is financial freedom. His plan for you is to be free of the pressure that you're feeling. He wants every single one of us to be liberated in the area of money management. And he says, why not spend your energy? Why not be concerned about, feel pressure on things that are more important than money? Focus on your marriage, focus on your spouse, your kids, transforming communities. And God says, look, if you will just trust me, if you will follow me, you can be different when it comes to the way you deal with your finances. And so we can't improve our position now unless we really are able to identify where are we right now, what's going on in our lives right now. And so let me help you kind of identify where you may be when it comes to your finances. And I want to do that through the use of the candy bars that you received just a few moments ago. So all of you should have received a candy bar. If you set it down, pick it back up. If you ate it, shame on you. But all of you should have candy bars. So pull that candy bar out for a moment. And I'm going to ask you to kind of interact with me across all of our locations. And so you need to kind of do what I ask you to do. I'm not going to ask you to do anything that's going to embarrass you, but I need you to kind of respond with me as we talk about this, because each of the candy bars actually represents a different segment of the population of the United States. Or let me get more specific. Each candy bar actually represents a segment of the population of LCBC. or a segment of the population in this room and in all of our locations right at this moment. So I'm going to call out different candy bars, and then I just need you to kind of respond to me based on the candy bar that you have. So let me start out with the payday bars. If you've got a payday bar, here's what I need you to do. I just need you to stand up. If you have a payday bar, just stand for me. Again, I'm not going to ask you to do anything other than just stand. So you look around the room, there's not a whole lot of payday bars out there. It's only 2% of the population. What you need to know about 2% of the population, the people that are standing right now, they're the millionaires. The millionaires that kind of are represented. You need to be nice to these people, okay? So they're the millionaires in the room. And if I were to identify kind of what got them to that place, there's several different things. Maybe they stuck to the budget well. Maybe they avoided debt, didn't get themselves into debt. They invested early. They were just wise in the way they dealt with their resources. That's 2% of the population, more than likely in this room, in our church, in the United States. Payday bars, thank you. You may be seated. Next candy bar that I'll point out to you real quickly will be the 100 grand bar, actually. If you've got a 100 grand bar, let me get you to stand up wherever you are. Few more 100 grand bars, that actually represents about 10% of the population. If they've got the 100 grand bar, they're not millionaires more than likely, but they're doing strong financially. They're doing well financially. And the reason is that 10%, they're debt-free. And so what that means is they paid cash for their cars. What that means is that they more than likely have a house that's paid for or close to it. What that means is they've got an emergency fund, so when something slips up on them, they're able to handle it, probably saving for retirement, though they may have started a little bit late on that, but they're doing well. They are strong financially. That's the 100 grand bar, 10% of the population of LCBC and of the United States. 100 grand bars, thank you. You may be seated. All right, now I need all my Nestle's Crunches to stand for me. If you've got a Nestle's Crunch bar, I need you to stand. Which happens to be most of the room, and you look around, and that's 70% of the population. 70% of the population standing right now, and what that means is you're normal, but what that also means, you're broke. You got nothing. You are totally broke. 70% of the population in that condition. Let me describe it a little bit more. What more than likely is going on in your life if you're a part of this particular group. You've got car loans of about $30,000 that you're paying down. Not only do you have car loans, you've got school loans, student loans of about $50,000 that you're paying down. And looking around the room, some of you are old enough, you've been paying on this for a long, long time, but it's still there. $50,000 in school loans. You've got credit card debts of almost $17,000. And so just to pay for these things every month, you're spending about $2,800 every month just to make ends meet, just for these things. Nothing else. You need that much just to make it with that. And you find yourself, you're in trouble. And if an emergency came up, oh man, you would be in big trouble if an emergency came up, and you know that they do. I mean, emergencies are things like your car won't start. Emergencies are things like the furnace goes out at home, or your son slips on the ice and he breaks his leg, or it's your turn to host the Christmas dinner for all of your family this Christmas. That's an emergency because you don't have the money to pay for it. You're stressed out completely because you've got all this going on in your life, and you're normal, but you're crunched, you're broke in that whole process. And all right, crunches, you can sit down. All right, the next bar is the zero bar, the zero bar. If you've got a zero bar, I need you to stand for me. Zero bars, you're way too happy with zero bars. That's about 16% of the population of LCBC or the United States, and it pretty well speaks for itself. You're in trouble. You've got all the same loans that everybody else had, but you know what? You can't pay your loans back. And you've either filed bankruptcy or you're about to file for bankruptcy. You're in major, major trouble because you can't pay it back, and you're just in deeper trouble than everybody else, but you're in trouble as you go through it. All right, zeros, you can sit down. One other group, it's the milk duds. And so if you've got the milk duds, let me see you. All right, not a lot of you, but there's some of you. And the milk duds, that's 2% of the population of the United States. That's 2% of the population, I would guess, in this room. Same thing, all the same school loans, car loans, credit card loans, but way, way higher than any of the rest of us. And you know what we know about people with the milk duds? You've lost all hope. You just go, man, there's no hope of pulling out of this. Same spot as those in bankruptcy. There's so much pressure going on in your life. You just go, there's no hope of getting out of this. I'm not sure I'm going to make it out of this at all. All right, Duds, you can sit down. So, you know what that means? That means 88% of the United States, 88% of the people at LCBC, 88% of the people in our rooms right now, 9 out of 10 people are broke. Broke and you got nothing. You're broke or worse, and you're in big, big trouble, and you look at that number and you go, oh man, we're all in the same boat, but it's not a good boat to be in. It's a sinking ship. Now, flip side of that real quick, that means 12% of you are doing real well. You've already started eating the candy bars. You're enjoying life. You're just having fun. You're the 12%, and it is okay now to go ahead and eat your candy bars. But let me just tell you, I can hear the rappers. You are eating them right now. I didn't really mean that. I was just kind of saying that, but okay, go ahead. You started now. So anyway, God says you don't have to live with all the pressure. You really are eating the candy bars. That's good. That's good. I told you could. So anyway, and go ahead and eat them, enjoy them. So God says you don't have to live with all the pressure. It doesn't have to be that way. And God gives us wisdom. In the book of Proverbs, if you want to find wisdom from God, one of the first places you ought to go to is the book of Proverbs. Can I just tell you, as you read the book of Proverbs, you will be wiser after you've read than before. And if you want to be wiser tomorrow than you are today, then go to the book of Proverbs, read a chapter. You will be wiser tomorrow than you are today. And you keep reading chapters, and you will be wiser and wiser every day. Book of Proverbs, a man named Solomon actually said this about money. He said, just as the rich rule the poor, so the borrower is servant to the lender. And this is 88% of us, servant to the lender. 88%. And you know what that's like. You understand when he says it's not a good place to be, the servant to the lender. What that actually means is you're single, you want to get married, you finally found the right guy, you finally found the right gal, but you know what? Because you're servant to the lender, you can't get married. There's not enough money to pull that off. Servant to the lender means that you started your family and you say, you know, we would love to have kids, but there's no way we can do this. We can't afford to do this. Or you've already got kids, you'd like another child, and you say, you know what, there's no way. We can't feed another mouth. We can't clothe another body. We can't help our child get into school. It's just not, it's impossible. Or you say, you know what, we've rented our whole life. We'd love to own our own home, but you just can't afford it. It's not going to happen. Or you've got a job that you hate, and you would love to change jobs, and you'd love to do something different, but you go, you know, I can't even afford to change jobs because it would be a disaster for us if we were to do that. Or you've got a friend, and you see a need that they have, and you would love to help meet that need. But you know what? You can't do it because it would just destroy you and your finances even more if you were to jump in and help. And what that means is you're a servant to the lender, and you know the pressure that's there. Now, Solomon says another thing in Ecclesiastes chapter 5. He says this, those who love money will never have enough. How meaningless to think that wealth brings true happiness. And all he's saying is the issue isn't how much you make. The issue isn't if you could have more money. That's not the issue, he says. We think that's the issue. We think if I could just have more, if my income was higher, I would be better off. And for most of us, we don't have an income problem. What we have is a lifestyle problem. And people talk all the time about if I had more money, here's what I would do. If I won the lottery, here are all the wonderful things that I would do. And yet you've read the stories like I have. The lottery doesn't help anybody out. We all say, oh, I'd be nice. I'll be the one that's different, but nobody's different. And Solomon says, you know what? It's not an issue of money. I actually like this statement that, you know what? More money only makes you more of what you already are. If you're broke and you get more money, you're going to be just more broke. It doesn't change anything. It's not about the amount of money that you or I have. And so the question is, how did the 88% of us, how did we get here? What happened to get us in this position? Because I don't think any of us planned it. I don't think any of us sat around and said, you know what, I hope in 10 years I'm going to be so deep in debt I feel hopeless. We didn't step into this and plan it this way. It just kind of happened. And what we find when it comes to debt is that you can wander into debt. It just happens to you. The thing is, you can't and you won't wander out of it. It won't just happen as you wander through life. And you wandered into it And I mean, I know how it happens. You know how it happens. I mean, let's just describe it this way. I mean, and it all seems so logical, the decisions that we make at the time. Like last January, you thought to yourself, you know what, why not go out and buy that big new TV that we've been wanting? I mean, the Eagles are going to be in the Super Bowl, probably the only time they'll ever be in the Super Bowl. We need to get the TV now. It'll never happen again. And I know it seemed logical. Who thought that they would be there? Who thought they'd ever be there again? And so you just kind of look and go, it'll never happen. And so let's buy that TV. And so you buy it. Besides, it was 90 days interest free, and we'll pay it back in 90 days. And you were going to do that. But then the fridge broke down, and everybody knows you can't live without a refrigerator, so you had to put the money towards the refrigerator. And then August rolls around, and your kids are starting school, and they've grown this year. They need new clothes. And so we'll buy new clothes. We'll pay it off as the year kind of goes along. And then all of a sudden, as they go to school in their new clothes, your son, they say, you know what, he needs glasses. And you thought, who would have ever saw that coming? Nobody in our family needs glasses, wears glasses, didn't see that one coming. And all of a sudden, you find yourself climbing and climbing and climbing in debt. Besides, it's your 10th anniversary. And man, 10th anniversary, we've got to celebrate that. Besides our marriage, it just needs a little bit of boost. And so you go out and you plan a great trip and you just wander into it. You wander into debt. And I understand it. It all seems logical, and we didn't plan it that way. But the thing is, you will not wander out of it. And good news is, though, there's hope. There is a better way. And God says there is a better way to deal with our finances, but it's going to require some things on our part. So let me describe to you what it's going to require in order to begin to climb out of the debt and the kind of the pressure that we're experiencing. And if we're going to experience financial peace, first of all, it starts with a decision, where each of us have to make a decision to say, you know what, I'm done with this. And every significant thing that you've experienced in your life, it all started with a decision. If you went to college, at some point you made the decision and you said, I'm going to go to college. So I'm going to call and get an application. I'm going to do it online. I'm going to apply to school. I'm going to show up the first day of class. I'm going to keep going to classes. It all started with a decision. Or you are married and there came a time when you said, you know what, I'm ready for a commitment for the rest of my life. You made a decision. Or you stepped into your job and you said, I'm going to step into this job. I'm going to get a job. Or when you gave your life to Jesus, you came to a point in your life where you said, you know what, I've just got all these messes in my life, and there's this stuff going on, and I need help, and so I'm trusting Jesus to help me. You made a decision to follow Jesus with your life. And same thing when it comes to debt. We've got to make a decision where you say, you know what, this is it. No more debt. I'm going to climb out of this whole thing and just the insanity and the pressure that it brings to me, and you say, I'm done. So starts with a decision. Second thing that comes with it is a plan. You're not going to wander out of it, and so you've got to come up with a plan and say, this is how it's going to happen. And fortunately for us, God gives us a plan. God tells us how to do this, and so the plan is there for us to follow. A decision, a plan. It also takes some accountability, though. And so an accountability partner just to kind of walk alongside us to cheer us on. Every objective you have is so much easier to accomplish if there's somebody cheering you on. It could be a small group leader, could be a friend, could be a family member, but somebody that's just there saying, I will cheer you on. A decision, a plan, an accountability partner, it also takes time. You didn't get into debt overnight. You didn't get yourself in a situation where you're feeling pressure overnight. It's going to take some time to climb out of that. And can I just tell you, as you make this decision as well, don't make the mistake of saying, okay, the decision is I'm going to invite Jesus to walk along with me with my life. It's not a matter of just inviting Jesus into your life. Because if you're walking this way, and this way is the way that's gotten you into financial difficulties, and you invite Jesus to walk with you, then he's going to be with you, but you're just going to keep walking further into debt. So it's not a matter of just inviting Jesus to walk with you. Instead, when Jesus says, come and follow me, he says, you may have been walking this way, invite me into your life, but then you turn and you walk the way I'm going to suggest you walk. I'm going to tell you to walk. And so it means more than just walking and inviting Jesus. It's turning and making a change of direction. So you make that decision. You follow the plan. Somebody helps you hold. It just kind of cheers you as you go. And then it takes time. And time is an amazing thing when it comes to money. Let me just show you some interesting things when it comes to time and money. Let's take the amount of the average person has in credit card debt, $16,883 in credit card debt. So again, if you're the 88%, 9 out of 10 of us, this is reality for us. You decide you're going to make minimum payments, which is about 2% a month. Do you know how long it's going to take you to pay off that $16,883 if you make the minimum payments? I'll tell you what it's going to take. It's going to take you 51 years to pay that off. Can you believe it? 51 years from now, you'll still be paying off that TV you watched the Eagles on one time at the Super Bowl. I mean, it's an amazing thing. 51 years. You will have paid off the $16,000, but you also will have paid an additional $48,000 in interest. Just the way it works with time. Now that's depressing. Let me tell you a cool thing. Let's take that same amount of money, the $16,883, instead of having to put it towards paying off a credit card. Let's just say you saved it. You took a lump sum. You decided you were going to save it. You put it somewhere where you could get about 8% interest a year. And let's take the same period of time that it was going to take you to pay off that credit card, 51 years. Do you know how much money you'd have in about 51 years if you were to do this one time, put that money into something where you're going to invest? Right about $1 million you would have in 51 years. Let's say that it's going to cost you, because if you're going to make minimum payments and you're paying off your credit card, to pay this down, it's going to be about $350 a month. You're going to have to pay off your credit card. So let's say you take that same $350 a month and you decide you're going to take that and you're going to put that into savings every month for the next 51 years. Do you know how much money you're going to have at the end of 51 years? Right about $3 million. That's a $3 million swing, just putting in savings as opposed to putting it towards paying down a credit card. Totally off subject here for a second. If you are young, this is for those of you, if you're high school, middle school, high school, college, man, do everything you can to start putting that money away now, because it just compounds, and in 50 years, it will be incredible. I would just throw out another crazy suggestion. For those of you that are thinking about getting married in the future, instead of having your parents spend this much for a reception that nobody's going to remember 2 weeks later, why not have them take that same money, put it somewhere, invest it 50 years later? You're going to have $1 million, and you will love your parents 50 years from now for making that kind of decision. Just a thought. Just a thought. Time makes a difference when it comes to our money. And the reality is the pressure involved with money is breaking us apart. It's tearing us up. Families are being broken up. Marriages are being destroyed. Communities are damaged by it, all because of the pressure of money that's breaking us apart. And so as we looked at this from a standpoint of just leaders of the church, we said, oh man, if 9 out of 10 of us are experiencing this, we've got to do something about it. So we made a goal for ourselves this past year, and we said our goal this year, one of our goals is just kind of teach people and say, how can we teach everybody at LCBC how to handle our money wisely? And I know it's not politically correct to talk about money. I know it's not socially acceptable to talk about money in group settings. I know that you don't like it when we talk about money at church, but I just step back and go, why wouldn't we talk about it? 9 out of 10 of us are struggling. God talks about it. Jesus talks about it. It's tearing our lives apart, and lives are being destroyed. Families are being torn apart. And so why wouldn't we talk about this together? And Jesus deals with real life issues. And what we tend to do is we compartmentalize things, and we say, okay, here's my church world and Jesus over here, and here's the rest of my life over here, and we compartmentalize them and we divide the two. And Jesus goes, no, there's no compartments. All of it is real life, and Jesus speaks to real life, and money is part of real life. And he says, come on, let's deal with this wisely. And so 88% of us, we need this infusion of new truth. We need a change in our behavior. Not saying, Jesus, keep walking with me the way I'm going and somehow turn things around. No, we make a decision to turn and walk a whole different direction, and he begins to change things. Now, 88% of LCBC is a lot of people. So if we just take adults, that ends up being about 10,000 people. 10,000 people, we're saying, man, what can we do to make sure every household is handling our money wisely? And so one of the things we know as leaders at LCBC is we don't have a market on wisdom. We don't know everything, and we're not excellent at everything. We're not excellent at many things. And so we step back and we say, we just need partners to help us, people that can guide us and give us direction. And so we started looking around the country and trying to find a partner that we could kind of team up with to help all of us handle our money wisely. As we looked around the country, we landed on the Dave Ramsey organization. And we said, we think this is an organization that can help us, all of us, manage our money more wisely. And the reason we settled on the Ramsey organization is because they've helped millions and millions of people learn how to handle their money wisely, specifically with one tool that they use. It's a tool called Financial Peace University, and it just teaches how to handle money God's way, how to handle money with God's wisdom in a wise way. And so this last year, the leadership of LCBC, we set a big goal for ourselves, and we said, you know what? We're not going to limit this to just a few hundred people, just a few thousand people. We want 10,000 people to be able to kind of understand what it means to handle our money wisely. And so the goal is 10,000 people. We've broken it down into phases. And so you may or may not have known any of this was going on, but last spring we set a goal and we said we want all of our staff and their spouses and some others to go through this. And so that happened in the spring. About 600 people went through Financial Peace University. Then in the fall we said, okay, we want all of our volunteers, our leaders to go through this. And so 2,400 people in the fall went through Financial Peace University. And now kind of the big thing starting in January, we're going to be pushing for 8,000 of us to go through Financial Peace University together because we want to do everything we can to experience financial freedom so that we don't experience the pressure that all of us are facing right now. Now, here's the fun part. First week of January, the 5th, 6th, and 7th of January, Dave Ramsey is going to be here with us to kind of kick things off. And if you're familiar with Dave, then you'll be excited about that. If you're not familiar with Dave, he hosts a radio program, a nationally syndicated program, millions of listeners, has helped millions of people trying to figure out how to deal with their finances wisely. Here's a quick message from Dave that I'll just introduce you to him.
Hey, LCBC Church, Dave Ramsey here, and I can't wait to be with you guys on January 5th and 6th and the 7th to help you kick off your church-wide Set for Life series. I believe there's no better way for you to start the new year than get set for life than by learning how to take control of your money with Financial Peace University. You're going to learn how to pay off debt, how to budget, how to save for your future, and be generous. And when you make the choice to live like no one else, later you'll have the freedom to give and to live like no one else. I'm so excited to see what God has in store for each of you as you learn His ways of handling money. So don't miss this opportunity to get set for life. Go to lcbcchurch.com for more info. And then grab your friends and join me January 5th, 6th, and 7th to begin a journey to financial peace that God has always intended for you. We'll see you guys soon.
All right, so if you're like me, then you're a skeptic. I tend to be a skeptic. I go, yeah, all that's nice, but how do I know it's going to work? Why is it worth my trouble to do this? Will it really make a difference? So let me just give you some numbers of what happens typically nationally when somebody's a part of Financial Peace University. These are the averages after millions of people have participated in Financial Peace. First of all, $5,300 is used to pay off just credit card loans. So that's $16,000 is dropped by $5,300. That happens with the average person. $2,700 additionally is saved. So you go from no money in the bank to actually $2,700. 89% of the people establish an emergency fund of $1,000 because emergencies happen. And statistics say that the average person, if there was a $500 crisis that came up in your life, you wouldn't be able to afford it. You don't have $500 to do that. And so $1,000 goes towards emergency funds. Now again, I'm a skeptic, so I go, okay, yeah, that's great that happened every place else in the country, but this is Pennsylvania. We're different. It can't happen that same way here. So let me give you some numbers just based on the 3,000 people over the last 9 months that have been through Financial Peace University right here at LCBC. And this is all during a 90-day period of time. So these numbers happen during a 90-day period of time. They're bigger than that since then, but just a 90-day period of time. So here's what's happened at LCBC. And the numbers really are staggering. 3,000 people, non-mortgage debt, so credit card debt, things like that, $16,749,884 has been paid down. An incredible number, $17 million just during a 90-day window. In addition to that, not only that was paid down credit card-wise, cash actually saved $6,985,844. So $7 million put in savings by the 3,000 people that went through Financial Peace University here at LCBC in a 90-day period. And these numbers are staggering. And what this says to me is we can do this. What this says to me is you can do this. And the experience that you're having now with the pressure in your life, it doesn't have to be that way. And you can experience life differently if you're willing to make a decision and say, I'm not going to keep doing this. This is crazy. I'm ready to make a change. Now, can I just say to the 12% of you that are doing well, You go, we don't need this, but maybe you do, because you might have family members, others that can benefit from this. So I'd invite you to jump into financial peace as well. But if you're also in that 12%, can I just tell you, you have the potential, you have the opportunity to impact other people that most people can't. And so I hope you're using your money wisely. I hope you're choosing it to make a difference in the lives of other people. And so every day around LCBC, we actually hear stories. Maybe it comes through emails, it could be from letters, sometimes from phone calls, sometimes just discussions or conversations in the atriums, just kind of describing to us how God is changing lives around LCBC. And we love hearing these stories. Actually, they're the kind of thing that just kind of keep us motivated doing what we do every day. So I just want to read you a part of a story that we received this fall from a family whose lives were changed because of their decision to jump into Financial Peace University. And so let me just read to you. They start out saying, hello, Gerald. Gerald happens to be our Next Steps director at our Ephrata location. So this is an Ephrata thing. Today was a big day for our family. After going through Financial Peace University and now helping as a table facilitator, we have been able to budget and cut out unnecessary spending. With that, we're seeing bills disappear and we're able to save money. So let me just stop. They went through Financial Peace in the spring, and then they're helping lead in the fall. But he says that's not what makes today so special, though. By following our Lord and Savior, our family is becoming closer than we have been in the 10 years we have been together. Let me just stop there, because what you don't know is a year ago, this family was not together. This family was separated. They decided, because of all the pressures that they'd been feeling, maybe better to go separate ways, but they jumped into Financial Peace almost as kind of a last-ditch hope of saying, can this be any different? He says, we are closer now than we have been in all 10 years we've been together. I want to thank you, Gerald, personally, for that first day you met with me when my world came crashing down on me, and how you showed me that not only was there a place that I could go where people would accept me, but that I was loved unconditionally by someone that would never stop loving me. I'm so grateful for you and everyone at LCBC that has shown unconditional love for any and everyone. And then he closes with this statement, and I love this statement because it really just kind of defines why we're doing all of this. This is what he says. He says, this is why we're putting so much energy into this initiative this year. In other words, this is why we're doing all this kind of talking about financial peace. It's not about money. He says, it's not even about money. And you may be sitting there saying, David, all you've been talking about is money today. And so, yeah, it's about money, but I would just tell you, no, it's not about money. And this is what he came to realize, and this is what you'll come to realize. It's actually about families coming together. It's about kids having their destiny redirected by new choices their parents will make. It's about people experiencing more peace in their lives than they ever have before. Don't make the mistake of thinking that my challenge to you to say, get out of the 88%, that it's just about money, because it's not about money. It's about saving your family. It's about restoring your marriage. It's about redirecting the lives of your kids. It's about you experiencing a level of peace that you may not have experienced ever before, maybe in a long, long time. And challenge is, make a decision. Make a decision now to say, you know what, we're going to do this. We're going to change the direction of our life. God tells you the plan. He tells you how to do it together. We can do this together. You don't do this alone. So you can go to the website if you want to look at for more information now. You can even sign up now if you want, but you don't even have to do that now, because this won't come until the middle or so of January. But whatever you do, make plans now to say, I'm going to jump in. I'm actually going to do this and be a part of Financial Peace University. Now, can I give you a quick caution? If you decide right now that you're going to jump into Financial Peace in January, the middle of January, that's still 4, 5, 6 weeks potentially away. Don't do what I do when I know I'm about to start a diet. And I've been on diets my entire life. And you know what I do? If I know next week I'm going to start a new diet, between now and next week, I eat everything in sight, because I know next week it's not going to be the same. And so I eat everything I can. Do not, this Christmas season, buy everything you can, thinking in January we're going to work all this out. Bad move. Putting yourself deeper into trouble. But make the decision now. See, Christmas is all about Jesus coming into the world to offer a better way for eternity, where he says we can spend eternity with God, our Heavenly Father, through Jesus in heaven. Jesus says you can live a better way today, your life, even when it comes to money. But it's not even about money. It's about your family being reunited. It's about your kids experiencing a new thing, you experiencing a freedom from the pressure that is weighing you down. Now, every weekend, To my right, to your left, up in the front corners after every gathering, we've got people there that would love to pray with you. If it's about this, if it's about anything going on in your life. And so today, if you want somebody to pray with you, I'd encourage you to come down. They would love to pray with you. But I'm going to pray for all of us right now and just say, oh, God, help us. Help us figure this thing out, because we're not designed to live this way. There's a better way, God says. Heavenly Father, I'm so thankful that you care about us so deeply, that you actually care about money. You don't compartmentalize our lives. It's not like church life and religious life and then everything else in our lives. It's just one life. And you came to change our one life, every area of our lives. So God, I'm asking today that as we find ourselves feeling incredible pressure, as we find ourselves just overwhelmed by all the things going on around us, because of the decisions we made, because we wandered into debt, and now we're feeling overwhelmed. God, give us the courage to make a decision to change. Give us the courage today not to just invite you to walk with us in the direction we're going, but to actually walk with us and help us change directions so that our lives can be different, so that our families will be different, our kids will be different. God, thank you for offering a better way. Thank you for Christmas and all that it represents, but thank you for Jesus, who comes and offers a better way for eternity and a better way today. God, thanks for loving us, and we love you, and we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.